Hey guys, just a real quick disclaimer. This video was supposed to come out last Friday, but I kind of had a flood in my basement that kind of halted progress because my basement is where I record all of my videos and stuff. So, yeah. But everything's cool now, so let's get back into Castlevania month. The Belmonts are probably the most important family in all of Castlevania. They're powerful vampire hunters armed with a badass whip known as the Vampire Killer. A lot have wielded this whip, and today I'm going to rank all of them worst to best to see who truly the greatest Belmont is. Now, keep in mind, this is only following the original canon, so no Castlevania Legends and no Lords of Shadow. Now let's begin. Number 7. Just Belmont. Just is, well, just kind of there. He's the grandson of Simon Belmont, and by the time Harmony of Dissonance takes place, an entire village formed around the Belmonts. He's taken to Dracula's castle by his friend Maxim, who claims that their friend Liddy has been kidnapped. Turns out Maxim was possessed by Dracula's spirit and did it himself, so just stops him and saves Liddy. So, yeah, he's a decent Belmont, being very determined to live up to his grandfather's legacy, but I don't know, to me at least, he just never really left an impact the way a lot of the other Belmonts did. Besides, he never even fought Dracula. It was Dracula's wraith, or whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, but I don't know. I honestly find Just to be kind of a boring character, all things considered. So, sorry. Number 6. Christopher Belmont. Christopher is another Belmont who just kind of did the deed. Like, he's cool and all, but, he just went and just did the thing. He beat Dracula. However, even though he defeated Dracula in battle, he did not succeed in killing him. Because Dracula survived, he then possessed Christopher's son Soliu, still think it's a stupid name, around 15 years later. This is what puts Christopher above Just. Christopher did the noble task of saving his son from Dracula's possession, and then confronted the vampire again, and this time succeeded in killing him. So yeah, he was a noble man who saved his son. He's worthy of the Belmont name because, he defeated Dracula twice. And he's a cool guy. I just wish his games were better. At least the first one. God, I hate that game. Number 5. Leon Belmont. The OG. Leon was the first in the Belmont clan. Becoming a knight at the young age of 16, he and his close friend Matthias were an unstoppable duo. Eventually, Leon set out to save his fiancée Sarah from the clutches of the evil vampire Walter. However, Sarah was bitten by Walter and was doomed to become a vampire. The only way to save her was to defeat Walter, but the whip wasn't powerful enough to do so he had to kill Sarah to bind her soul to the whip and make it stronger. And yes, saying it out loud makes me realize how ridiculous that sounds. Albeit hesitant, Leon did so by Sarah's request, and her soul was bound to the whip, creating the Vampire Killer. Eventually, it was revealed that Matthias was the one behind it all, and in fact, Matthias would eventually become Dracula. And Leon swore that someday the Belmonts would destroy Matthias. So, technically, the eternal rivalry between the Belmonts and Dracula is all Leon's fault. So yeah. Either way, Leon is incredibly kind-hearted and will do whatever it takes to do what's right. He's such an incredibly likable protagonist, and I truly wish I could put him higher on this list, but the next 4 are just much cooler than him. Sorry, Leon. Number 4. Trevor Belmont. I may get some flack for putting Trevor this low, but hear me out. We are judging Trevor based on his canonical game appearances, not his appearance in the Netflix series. Trust me, he'd be way higher if we were basing him on that. Trevor Belmont was the first to take down Dracula. At this time, the Belmont family was excommunicated by the church and feared for their power. Trevor was called upon to defeat Dracula, and doing so would clear his family's name. Along the way, he encountered many allies such as Syphon Belnades, who he would eventually marry, Grant the Nasty, and of course, Dracula's rebelling son Alucard. Together, the 4 of them defeated Dracula, and the Belmont's family name was reintroduced to the church. 3 years later, Trevor set out on his own to defeat one of Dracula's subjects, Isaac. Along the way, he crossed paths with a man named Hector, who was also hunting Isaac. Unfortunately, Hector accidentally rose Dracula's castle, and it was then that Trevor was stabbed by Isaac. But don't worry, he was saved by Julia, who was an ally of Hector. Trevor is a powerful Belmont, and his actions may have cleared the family name, but they were still hated by the people. And as strong as he is, he still needed help from 3 others to defeat Dracula. Plus, he was easily caught off by Isaac, so yeah. Number 3. Richter Belmont. When Dracula attacked his hometown and kidnapped his fiancée Annette, Richter Belmont set out to defeat the evil vampire. Along the way, he saved a young girl named Maria from the Dark Priest Shaft, who would help Richter in his fight against Dracula. Together, the two saved Annette, as well as 2 other maidens, and defeated the Vampire Lord. However, having survived his battle with the Belmont, Richter was put under a spell by Shaft, and Richter resurrected Dracula. It was up to Maria and Alucard to knock some sense into the Belmont. Richter is very powerful and a lot more agile than other Belmonts, adding a jump kick and uppercut to his arsenal. He's kind-hearted, incredibly brave, and an amazing fighter. However, he can be a bit hot-headed, which probably aided in Shaft's controlling of his actions. And honestly, if he wasn't so easily manipulated, he'd definitely be higher, but his sheer bravery and determination is what keeps him going. All in all, he's a powerful and respected member of the Belmont family. Number 2. Julius Belmont. Trevor may have been the first to defeat Dracula, but Julius was the last. Not because the Belmonts died out, but because he finally succeeded and killed Dracula once and for all. In 1999, Julius, as well as a band of magicians and priests, sealed Dracula's castle inside a solar eclipse, cutting off Dracula's connection to the moon, and therefore his immortality. It was here that Julius killed Dracula once and for all. However, the event gave him terrible amnesia. Years later, in the year 2035, another solar eclipse happened, and Dracula's castle returned. Julius ventured here to investigate, along with Kenya Arikata, who's actually Alucard in disguise, Yoko Banades, and Soma Cruz. Spoiler alert, turns out Soma is the reincarnation of Dracula, and it's here that Julius remembers everything. He challenges Soma to a duel and pretty much kicks his ass, but he sees that Soma still has good in him, so he lets him live. However, Soma tells him, "Hey, look, if I succumb to darkness and become Dracula, can you kill me?" And Julius goes, "Yeah, I got you, friend." And a promise is made. A year later, that very thing happens, and Julius, along with Yoko and Alucard, fulfilled Julius' promise. You know, in the fake timeline, but you get the idea. Julius is one of the most badass Belmonts, and he's easily the most powerful, as shown in both his gameplay and his battle with Soma. Also, did I mention that he's like 55? The dude's over 50 and still kicking ass. That's amazing. But, all this aside, whoever is fighting Dracula first, rescuing your son, saving your fiancé, defeating Dracula forever, there is one Belmont who stands above all the others as the most heroic, legendary, and respected member of the Belmont clan. Number 1. Who else? Simon Belmont. Trevor, Richter, and Julius may be some of the most powerful Belmonts, but they all have one thing in common. They needed help to defeat Dracula. Simon, at the ripe young age of 22, stormed Dracula's castle and defeated him alone. Simon grew up in a time where the Belmonts were still hated and feared by the people, but he would hear stories of his ancestors and how they defeated Dracula, so Simon would train to see if he could eventually complete the task himself. He became so skillful that he even had more control of the vampire killer than any other Belmont. Once Castlevania rose again, Simon set out to follow in the footsteps of his ancestors, again, alone, despite Dracula being more powerful than previously. And as it turns out, Simon succeeded, but not without great cost. Dracula inflicted a wound on Simon's back before he died and cursed him so that it would never heal. 6 years later, an old woman told Simon a way to break the curse. So he set out on a quest, see what I did there? To gather Dracula's remains and burn them. However, he missed one and Dracula was resurrected. So what did Simon do? He killed him again. Let me clarify this. Simon journeyed all throughout Transylvania, fighting hordes of monsters, helping townsfolk in need, and rematching with not only Dracula, but death as well, all the while he was slowly dying. That is badass. With Dracula dead, Simon's curse was lifted, and the people not only began to look at Simon as a hero, but finally started to respect the name Belmont. Plus, if you take my Castlevania 4 sequel video into consideration, he ends up even defeating Dracula a third time. Simon is a legend, the most well-known of the Belmonts, and for good reason. He has the bravery of Richter, the legacy of Trevor, the nobleness of Leon, the selflessness of Christopher, and the determination of Just, and the badassery of Julius. And that is why Simon is undoubtedly the best Belmont. At least in my opinion. This is all my opinion, so if your favorite Belmont is not number 1, that's fine. Let me know who your favorite Belmont is down in the comments. I'm genuinely curious who everyone's favorite Belmont is. Everyone has a different one, but, well, not everyone. You know, there's only like 7 to choose from, but you get the idea.